How many of you were ever on a watch list at school, or maybe even on watch by your parents? Someone just watching and waiting for your next mistake, no matter how big or small. Well, that's how my first year of high school started. I went to the same specialized high school as my sister, who just happened to be very gifted in the school's desired career path. I didn't specialize in that area, and it created an idea in my head that I wasn't smart enough or talented enough, when in reality, my talents were just not being exercised. Now, if you are a younger sibling, you are probably going to understand the feeling of when a teacher looks at you and says, "Oh, you must be related to so-and-so." That was always a sentence that sent dread through my body, because while my sister was super excited to be at schools that specialized in her area, I was just at a school that my sister went to. I very quickly learned it's hard to find motivation in a place where you feel constantly watched. I spent my 9th grade year excluded from extracurriculars in my school because none of the clubs interested me, and quite frankly, some of the school's faculty didn't want me to join their clubs. This may have been because of my bad grades, or maybe I was super talkative in class. I mean, after all, I did love to make friends with every student the teacher sat me next to for that week. Some of the students would even lie to me about when and where the club meetings were. I specifically remember a time sitting in my principal's office and my dad asking her why it was like I was being targeted by the school. She looked at my dad and said, "Well, Katie's on a watch list." I never asked my dad how he felt about this because it felt like a quick way to feel worse about myself and the situation that I was in. After all, I really wasn't doing anything different from the other students besides the fact that I wasn't interested in the school's desired career path. It's hard to learn in an environment where you know everyone is watching and waiting for you to mess up, especially when it translates to your home life. Because my freshman year wasn't just problems at school, it was problems with my parents. See, my parents didn't trust me, and after a day of being surrounded by adults who don't trust you and talk down to you, by the time I got home, I wanted nothing to do with my parents. This caused me to talk to them less, and the less I talked to them, the less they trusted me. And when I did talk to them, it felt like it was their perfect platform to tell me everything I was doing wrong, everything I needed to fix, and everything about my grades. This put a strain on my life to the point where academically, I was giving up. After a hard freshman year, I decided to change schools. I felt like I dug myself into a hole so deep that I couldn't get myself out of it. See, the thing is, once you've dug yourself into a hole, it's extremely hard to get yourself out of it, especially when the people around you fully believe that as soon as they help you out, you will fall right back into where you started. Sometimes we need someone to be the ladder in our hole to take a chance on us and to help us out. Thankfully, this is where things start to improve for me. The 10th grade year rolls around at my new school, and I ended up joining the NJROTC program. This was in hopes to stay off my new school's watch list. I joined their drill team where we showed up to school every morning early to march around the gym and to get to know each other. My mom ended up going with me the first couple days to talk to my master sergeant. Now, this was kind of upsetting for me because I felt like I knew what she was saying. I felt like she was telling my master sergeant about all of my past mistakes and my past grades. I came to my new school to make a new me, and it felt like all of my mistakes were following right behind me. Later in the week, I talked to my master sergeant, and he looked at me and said, "Yo, Mama, don't trust you." But that didn't stop him from handing me a script and told me to read it like a crowd was listening. My master sergeant didn't care about my past, so I really didn't want to let him down. This was my chance to show the skills I felt I had. In my most confident, fluent voice, I read the packet, which I would soon know to be the Master of Ceremonies for the annual mass inspection. This was the first big thing that I felt was entrusted to me. For once, it felt like I wasn't being looked down upon, that my abilities were being used and my weak points weren't being highlighted. Being trusted by an adult in my life felt like a reason to try harder. At least one person in my life wasn't watching and waiting for me to fall right back into the hole that I dug myself into. He constantly pushed me to find my talents and to exercise skills such as leadership, public speaking, and event planning. Through my time in the NJROTC program, I found a love for planning events. My master sergeant made me figure things out on my own. Whenever I would ask him how to do something, he would look at me and say, "Figure it out." To this day, those 3 words have instilled a new confidence in me to take charge of my life and to figure it out. Somehow, he always knew my capabilities and what I could handle. Through my new leadership positions, I found myself answering lots of questions. The questions were about the events I was planning, and I loved this. This showed me that my peers were excited to get involved and to learn more about what I was doing. This was a shock for me, because for most of my life, I hated asking questions. Now, I personally believe I hate asking questions because of my Sun Capricorn and Moon Aries placements, but a more believable reason was that I feel like people look down on me when I ask questions. And then I realized I never once looked down on a person asking me a question, so why would they look down on me? Now, all of this was a huge transition in 1 year. I went from the bad kid on the school's watch list and my parents searching my room, all the way to the president of several extracurriculars. I was even forming a relationship with my new principal. This was amazing, but also far more stressful than being the bad kid. Because now I was walking on eggshells. I was trying my best because I was worried that everyone was still watching and waiting for that one mistake. That one mistake, and I would fall right back into the hole I started in. I found myself overcompensating for things, and I would overdo myself and reach burnout just trying to break people's previous image of me. I had to come to terms with some people's image of me would never change, but my own mindset was completely different. Because while I still cannot stand here and solve a complex math problem, I can still help students in gaining confidence and learning about leadership. I noticed a pattern during my trials and errors of trying to improve myself. 1, recognize the people around you and how they may be able to help you. 2, advocate for yourself. Sometimes this is the hardest part, admitting that you need help. Convincing my parents to change schools was a step I had to take to advocate for my needs as a student. 3, be patient with yourself. Sometimes it feels like hard work goes unnoticed and mistakes are highlighted, especially when the mistakes you've made follow you through your life. Step 4, get involved. Branch out. Find new activities that interest you and fit your goals in mind. Now this is crucial for step 5. Step 5, break the cycle. Falling back into your old ways and habits is easy. Mistakes are going to be made, but it is your decision to continue to advocate for yourself and move forward. From all of this, I have learned how to better connect with my peers at school by understanding how much pressure can be placed onto you by just wanting to do better. Be patient with those who are trying to better themselves. I was able to introduce students to the importance of teacher-student relationships to advocate for yourself, your learning styles, and your goals. With my new teacher-student relationships, I was able to build trust with my teachers and understand the struggles that they faced as teachers. Teachers want to build relationships with you. They want to know when you are struggling. Advocate for what you need. While we might not all be able to change our environment like I did, we can all still advocate for our wants, needs, and goals as students. These relationships I created with my teachers were then passed on as I helped teachers to understand students and students to communicate with their teachers. I've gained an insight on both sides of the classroom desk that we all want support. We all feel the pressure of making a mistake, and how people's view of us can drastically change our mindset. So for the students who are on the school watch list, or for the parents and teachers who don't trust their kids, take a chance on that bad kid, because I was once that bad kid. Thank you.